The call of the unknown is a siren's song, isn't it? For centuries, we've told stories of those who dared to venture into the Earth's hidden corners, seeking secrets buried by time. But some secrets were never meant to be found. Today, we're delving into a story that blurs the line between history and horror. A chilling account of what happened in the Whisper Shadow Caves. Our story begins with a team of 4 intrepid explorers, led by the renowned archaeologist Dr. Eris Thorne. Alongside him were Lena, a brilliant geologist, Ben, a young, eager documentarian, and Kale, their seasoned local guide. Their mission was to map a newly discovered cave system deep within a remote, uncharted mountain range, a place local legends called the Maw of Echoes. The natives avoided it, whispering tales of a place that swallowed souls and trapped them in stone. Of course, to a team of scientists, these were just folk tales. They couldn't have been more wrong. For 3 days, they navigated the labyrinthine passages. The air grew colder, thick with the scent of damp earth and something else, something ancient and still. Lena's geological readings were off the charts. The rock formations were unlike anything she'd ever seen, twisting in unnatural spirals. Ben's camera, usually a reliable workhorse, kept glitching, its battery draining at an alarming rate. Kale grew unusually quiet, his eyes constantly darting towards the oppressive shadows that seemed to dance just at the edge of their torchlight. Only Aris remained unshaken, his excitement growing with every new discovery. He was on the verge of something monumental. He could feel it. Then they found it. A cavern so vast it swallowed their lights, its ceiling lost in an impenetrable darkness. And the walls. The walls were a canvas of history. They were covered in breathtaking, sophisticated paintings, far older than any known civilization in the region. The pigments, made from crushed minerals, still held a faint, eerie luminescence. The murals depicted scenes of daily life, hunting, gathering, community rituals. Figures of men, women, and children were painted with astonishing realism. They were a window into a long-lost world. Eris was ecstatic. This is it. This changes everything we know about early human migration. He traced a figure with his gloved hand, a hunter poised with a spear. The level of detail, it's as if they're alive. Lena, however, felt a creeping unease. The figures were too perfect. Their painted eyes seemed to follow her every move. She noticed something odd. "Eris," she said, her voice a hushed whisper, "look at their shadows." Beneath each painted figure was its shadow, also painted onto the rock. But the painted shadows didn't match the figures. A person standing had a shadow that was kneeling. A figure with raised arms had a shadow with its arms by its side. And strangest of all, the light from their headlamps and torches didn't cast new shadows over the painted ones. The ancient painted shadows remained fixed, dark, and absolute, defying the laws of light. Ben, filming it all, zoomed in. "That's impossible," he muttered, a shiver running down his spine. Kyle simply crossed his arms, his face grim. "They are not shadows," he stated quietly. "They are cages." Eris, ever the rationalist, dismissed it as an artistic choice, a symbolic representation they didn't yet understand. He instructed the team to set up camp in the Great Cavern, wanting to begin documenting immediately. Against Kale's strenuous objections, they laid out their sleeping bags and started their equipment. The first night passed without incident, but the feeling of being watched never left them. Ben reviewed his footage, noticing strange audio distortions, faint whispers that sounded like a chorus of voices just beneath the audible range. He couldn't make out the words, but the tone was one of immense sorrow. The second day was spent meticulously photographing and cataloging the murals. As Lena analyzed rock samples, she discovered the pigments weren't just minerals. They were mixed with a biological compound she couldn't identify. A type of organic binder, she presumed, though its resilience over millennia was baffling. As dusk approached, they lit their main campfire in the center of the cavern, its flames casting a warm, comforting glow. They gathered around, exhausted but exhilarated. It was then that the first torch on the far side of the cavern began to flicker. One by one, like a chain reaction, their battery-powered lanterns and headlamps began to dim and die. Ben's camera went completely dark. Soon, only the central campfire and a few handheld torches remained, their flames sputtering as if starved of air. A sudden, unnatural cold swept through the cavern. "What's happening?" Lena cried out, pulling her jacket tighter. Cale grabbed a spare torch, his knuckles white. "They are waking up," he whispered, his eyes fixed on the walls. Eris followed his gaze. In the wavering, dancing firelight, a terrifying illusion was taking place. The painted figures on the walls seemed to ripple. The hunter Eris had admired. Its spear arm seemed to twitch. A painted child appeared to turn its head. "It's a trick of the light," Eris stammered, his scientific certainty beginning to crumble. But then, the painted shadows began to move. They detached from the rock. The dark, two-dimensional shapes elongated, stretching out from the base of the painted figures like pools of ink spreading across the cavern floor. They slithered away from the walls, becoming three-dimensional forms of pure, featureless black. The whispers Ben had heard on his recording now filled the air, a cacophony of pleas and warnings. The shadow forms moved with a silent, horrifying grace, gliding towards the terrified team huddled by the dying fire. "Get back! Stay in the light!" Kyle yelled, waving his torch wildly. One of the shadow creatures recoiled from the flame, its form momentarily dissipating before reforming. The fire was their only defense. Ben fumbled for his pack, trying to find spare batteries, his hands shaking too much to function. Lena was frozen in place, her face a mask of pure terror. One of the shadow forms glided towards her. It had no face, no hands, but as it drew near, slender tendrils of darkness extended from its body. Eris snapped out of his shock. "Lena, move!" he screamed, pushing her behind him. He stood between her and the encroaching darkness, holding his own sputtering torch like a sword. The shadow hesitated, then flowed around him, its cold presence leaching the warmth from the air. It was heading for the wall, towards the painting of a woman gathering fruit. Then the truly unthinkable happened. The painted figure of the woman on the wall began to fade, turning translucent. And from the wall, a real, physical hand emerged, pale and spectral. It was followed by an arm, a shoulder, and then the ghostly, shimmering form of a woman stepped out of the rock. Her eyes were wide with a freedom she hadn't known for millennia. For a moment, everyone stared in stunned silence, but the shadow that had approached the wall was not done. It swirled around the feet of the newly freed spirit, then shot towards the explorers. It moved with terrifying speed, engulfing Ben before he could even scream. His torch clattered to the floor and went out. For a split second, they saw Ben's silhouette inside the writhing mass of darkness. Then the shadow retracted, snapping back towards the wall like a rubber band. It slammed into the blank space where the painting of the woman had been. As it hit the rock, it flattened, and an image began to form. In fresh, dark pigment, a new figure was painted onto the wall, a man holding a camera, and beneath him, a new, unnatural shadow was fixed in place. Ben was gone, trapped in the stone. Panic erupted. Cale hurled his torch at one of the advancing shadows, shouting ancient words Eris didn't understand. The shadow hissed and retreated. "We have to go. Now!" Cale yelled, grabbing Lena's arm and pulling her towards the cavern's exit. Eris, his mind reeling, saw another shadow approaching him. He saw the painting it was moving towards, the powerful hunter with the spear. He knew what was coming. A trade was about to be made. His mind, the mind of a scientist who believed only in evidence and logic, was shattered. He was living in a legend. He ran. He ran after Cale and Lena, the sound of stone grinding and 1,000 whispers chasing them. They didn't look back. They couldn't. They navigated the twisting tunnels by the light of Cale's single, precious torch, the darkness of the cave pressing in on them, no longer empty but alive and hungry. They finally burst out of the cave entrance into the gray light of dawn, gasping for air, collapsing onto the dew-covered ground. They were the only two who made it out. Eris Thorne, the brilliant archaeologist, and Lena, the geologist. They returned to civilization with an impossible story. There was no proof, no footage, no samples, no Ben. The entrance to the Whisper Shadow Caves collapsed in a rockslide a week later, sealing its secrets and its prisoners forever. Eris never led another expedition. He spent the rest of his days haunted by the images on the wall and the face of his friend, forever captured in a stone prison. The story serves as a chilling reminder. Sometimes the past isn't dead. It's just waiting in the dark for a flicker of light to offer it a trade. It makes you wonder, what other secrets are lying dormant in the deep places of the world, painted on walls, waiting for their shadows to step out and claim a substitute? Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the dark. If you enjoy tales of mystery and the unexplained, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Until next time, stay curious and maybe stay out of unexplored caves.